1Ls. Welcome to Harvard Law School. I'm Pete Davis, a class of 2018 graduate of HLS, and I'm here today to share with you the 7 things I wish I had known as an incoming 1L. I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person, but I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. I love Harvard Law School and care deeply about its future. That's why I spent a fair bit of my time there researching the public interest mission of HLS. And I'm here today to share some of my findings from that research. So let's get right to it. The 7 things I wish I had known as an incoming 1L. Number 1, I wish I had known that we are called to fix the legal system. Harvard Law School's bold mission statement is to educate leaders who contribute to the advancement of justice and the well-being of society. You have a mission that's bigger than your own personal advancement. You are called as Harvard Law students to advance justice and societal well-being. And as lawyers, you are called too. Canon 8 of the ABA Model Code of Professional Ethics says the legal system should function in a manner that commands public respect. Therefore, lawyers should participate in proposing and supporting legislation and programs to improve the system. If you think any part of the legal system does not command public respect, raising your voice and giving your time is not an extracurricular activity. It's your duty as an officer of the court. Number 2, I wish I had known that there is a crisis in the law. Judge Learned Hand, HLS class of 1896, said, quote, "If we are to keep our democracy, there must be one commandment. Thou shalt not ration justice." You are entering law school at a time of crisis when we are severely rationing justice. Since 1995, real spending on indigent defense has fallen, while felony cases have risen. This has contributed to the enormous spike in our prison population during our lifetimes. 4/5 of civil legal needs of poor Americans go unmet. That's mothers evicted from their homes, domestic violence victims not getting restraining orders, elder abuse going unchecked, and veterans not receiving their rightful benefits. You can respond with, well, that's just the way it is, but it's not the way it has to be. The system has the money. Just the top 100 most profitable law firms rake in over 60 times as much each year as the amount of funding spent on the Legal Services Corporation. There's a fire burning in our legal system, and you, class of 2021, can decide to ignore it, or you can decide to be firefighters. Number 3, I wish I had known that we can choose to be Elizabeth Holtzmans. Here's what I mean by that. In 1964, the civil rights movement was in full force. It was the year Martin Luther King accepted his Nobel Peace Prize. It was the year of Freedom Summer. It was the year the Civil Rights Act was passed. But meanwhile, at Harvard Law, this is what the Harvard Law Record was reporting about the student body. For the most part, 3Ls who have jobs in southern cities will be doing corporate tax and business work. Although a significant number expressed interest in criminal and civil rights cases, none said they would seek them. One 3L from the Deep South said he would consider civil rights work, quote, if there were any hope of doing any good. This is disturbing. But fortunately, it's not the whole story about Harvard Law School in 1964. There was one student at the time, Elizabeth Holtzman, who had the guts to take action. She spearheaded the Civil Rights Research Council at Harvard Law. She served in Albany, Georgia for civil rights groups during her summers. She spent time at HLS getting the word out about what was happening in the South. In the legal crises of today, do you want to be those students who thought there was no hope of doing any good, who showed interest but didn't act? Or do you want to be an Elizabeth Holtzman? Number 4, I wish I had known that Harvard Law has a current. If Harvard Law's career culture was a river, it has a somewhat strong current. Studies in 1992, 2006, and 2015 show that about 70% of students enter Harvard Law interested in public interest careers. But by the time the students leave, that number is very different. Of non-clerking graduates, about 20% pursue public interest careers after school. And it doesn't look like those numbers change a few years out from graduation. Only about 5 to 7% of students working at firms 3 years after graduation are working in public interest jobs 12 years after graduation. Let me put it bluntly. If this class is no different than any other class, then about 400 of you are right now interested in public interest careers. If your class is the same as any other class, we can expect about only 100 of you to pursue public interest work after graduation. Well, 300 of you will not. That's a strong current. It's something you need to be mindful of. Number 5, I wish I had known that those most susceptible to the current are the so-called justice-minded but passive. One study found that the students most affected by the current share the quality of being justice-minded but passive. They are open to and interested in justice work vaguely, but don't actively pursue making a concrete commitment to a cause or community. They keep their options open, waiting for something at Harvard Law to show them the way. This is dangerous because the most likely people to show you the way, according to the study, are the corporate firm recruiters. Meanwhile, those who aggressively pursued finding a concrete vocation, like juvenile justice reform or service to asylum seekers, or even reviving Michigan, were found to rarely be swayed by the current. The great lawyer Abraham Lincoln once said, "Be sure to put your feet in the right place, and then stand firm." If you don't want to be justice-minded but passive, start actively searching for a place to put your feet. Number 6, I wish I had known that common career excuses are myths. There's going to be a lot of excuses in the air about why you should give up your public interest ambitions. The first is the pro bono excuse, that pro bono work is addressing the crisis in the legal system. This isn't the case. Lawyers at major corporate firms give less than 8 minutes per day to pro bono. Only 18 of the nation's 100 biggest corporate interest firms meet the 50 pro bono hours per year per attorney challenge. Our own career services office states, quote, "Firms like to emphasize their commitment to pro bono, but they are increasingly mindful of becoming more like a business where billable hours and profitability reign supreme." Second is the charitable giving excuse, that charitable giving by firms is addressing the crisis in the legal system. This isn't the case either. The most charitable firms give less than 0.2% of their revenue to civil legal aid. Total revenue for the top 200 firms is $96.3 billion. Total funding for all civil legal aid for low-income Americans is only $1.4 billion. If you want to solve the legal system's current crisis, you can't rely on the system of pro bono and charitable giving as it's currently structured. The system needs active reformers like you. Number 7, I wish I had known that you can make a difference in the law. The worst career excuse by far is that you can't make a difference in the law, that civic ambition is futile, and thus only private ambition has promise. This is not true. Take Gina Clayton. After graduating from Harvard Law in 2010, she founded the SE Justice Group to harness the collective power of women with incarcerated loved ones to fight mass incarceration. Take Julie Su. After graduating from Harvard Law School in 1994, she brought dozens of landmark lawsuits as a civil rights lawyer and as California's labor commissioner to secure millions of dollars and policy changes benefiting low-wage workers and immigrants and victims of human trafficking. Take Jason Atkins. After graduating in 1991, he founded the Center for Insurance Research, saving consumers millions of dollars over the course of his career. These people, and the hundreds of others like them, are not extraordinary people. They're ordinary people who made a commitment to deploying their legal education in service of a cause in need. My hope for you is that no matter what path you take or career you choose, you find a legal vocation, a cause, a community, or an institution in need that you are committed to serving. The pursuit of a vocation is an antidote to all the psychodramas of law school. As one famous Harvard Law graduate put it, the thing that got me through any time that I felt stuck is to remind myself that it's about the work. Because if you're worrying about yourself, if you're thinking, am I succeeding? Am I in the right position? Am I being appreciated? Then you're going to end up feeling frustrated and stuck. But if you can keep it about the work, you'll always have a path. There's always something to be done. So how do you begin? 2 concrete pieces of advice. First, write it down. If you have a strong vocation, if you came to law school with a deep purpose, take some time to write it down in a note to yourself today. If you don't have a strong vocation yet, if you came to law school to help figure out what you want to fight for, take some time to write down today what you are curious about, what has been itching at you in the news and in your experience. Follow that curiosity. Second, turn the school into a community of vocation. Ask your classmates what they're passionate about fighting for, and help each other out as you clarify what you believe in and hold on to what you stand for. Class of 2021, I'm excited to see how you live up to your calling to contribute to the advancement of justice and the well-being of society. There's a lot to be done in the coming decades. Let's get to work.